Okay, thank you, Brando, very much for the introduction. As Brando said, we were in Rome a few days ago. In Rome, the European Commission organized an event called the Digital Day in the context of the celebrations for the 60 years of Europe. And during that day, more than 40 ministers who actually participated to the event debated future projects for the European Union, big things like high-performing computers, connected cars and big motorways for connected cars, and 5G, transformation of the industry. We launched the platform of the Industry 4.0. And then there was a workshop which was actually very highly attended, with many interesting personalities, including Brando, who actually discussed the impact of all this digital transformation and these advanced technologies on the labor market. And this is very important because we were speaking in a country where 50% of youth is actually unemployed, and we know that digital technologies can have a very important impact on the creation of jobs. In the past 5 years, 2 million jobs for ICT specialists were created in Europe. We expect more than 500,000 vacancies by 2020 for the very high ICT specialists, simply because digitization is affecting all the sectors of the economy. On the other hand, and then the digital, creates new jobs, the app economy. Yesterday was an event at Google where they were discussing the app economy and the amount of jobs that were created in that context, with 40% of the apps created in Europe, actually. And then jobs we never heard of before. Economic growth also creates other opportunities for jobs, not necessarily tech jobs, but in the wide economy. On the other hand, we read a lot of news about automation replacing jobs and tasks, and there are some alarming articles mentioning 50% of jobs being lost because of robots and automation. So, is this true? We really do not know. This is speculation a little bit, but it is important that we keep these concerns in mind, and that we put in place policies that can really address the concerns. And there are mainly 3 groups of policies that can address this. The first one is obviously active labor market policies, and they're useful because we imagine that in the future there will be more and more self-employed, and so you have to make sure that the social security system is ready to face kind of a new labor market. Then you have a group of fiscal policies, because you need to have redistribution that takes place. We observe a world of increasing inequalities in the western part of the world, and we know that some of this is due to digitization, and redistribution policies are therefore extremely important. But thirdly, we need to have education and training policies, because of course the skills are at the heart of the transformation. We talk about digital skills, but by digital skills we don't only mean digital skills strictly speaking. We mean a set of skills which are digital, and then there is also some complementary skills that have become more important with digital technology. Think of the communication skills that become very important with the rise of the social media and similar trends. So we have to make sure that society is equipped with the right skills, as Brando said before. We, first of all, need to modernize education systems. What does this mean for us? We are the European Commission. The European Commission does not really have competence in this field. We can talk to member states, we can give them advice, suggestions, exchange best practices, but we cannot force them to change the curricula. Our advice to them is do introduce computing science in schools, and by that we don't mean introducing Microsoft Office, but we mean introduce coding, introduce media literacy, teach kids how to behave on the internet on top of the elements of computational thinking. And then universities should become more flexible, because the new skill needs are changing very fast, and therefore universities have to adapt very fast, and this is extremely difficult for the European education system. It is so difficult that many people are actually learning the new skills on the job rather than at university. And this is why we think that internships in the era of digital will become increasingly important. But what do we do with the people who are in employment now, who didn't experience a modernized education system, and even with older people who are definitely left behind by technological change? Well, first of all, we have to think, how are we going to retrain our whole workforce? Nowadays, you need skills everywhere, in government office, in the farms, in the transport system. Everywhere you are, you will be needing some kinds of digital skills, but 37% of the European labor force does not have basic digital skills, and this is a very alarming number. How do we retrain the workforce? The large companies are well placed, they have the money, they can organize trainings, but the small, medium enterprises, and our economies is, more than 90% of our companies are small, medium enterprises, they don't have this kind of funding. So governments have to come in. Europe makes available a certain number of funds, the European Social Fund, including the Youth Employment Guarantee. There is an Erasmus Plus. There are different kind of fundings available to the member states to organize this kind of training, but what we observe is that there is a shortage of this kind of trainings, because it's difficult to invest money in something new, in something where maybe the curriculum is not so well established, and this is why we need a collaborative effort. We have set up, within the skills agenda, we have set up the Coalition for Digital Skills and Jobs. And we had the coalition before. What this coalition does more than in the past is that it involves member states more, because member states are the ones with the instruments to act in this particular field. Also today we have a meeting with member states immediately after this meeting, and we will ask them, and we have asked them in the skills agenda to produce strategies on digital skills. Why did we ask this? This is not just because we want to have the piece of paper, bureaucratic piece of paper with a strategy, but because we know that the most difficult thing in this field in a member state is to coordinate the work of all the different ministries involved. Because this is the Minister of Education, which normally only deals with education. The Minister of Employment, who in some countries deals with skills, in others it doesn't. And then you have the Minister of Industry, or of the minister that normally deals with digital, that has to get connected to the others, and which is not a traditional thing to do for this kind of ministries. So the reason why we really ask for the strategy is because we want to see this coordination effect ongoing in the member states. And we also ask them to set some national coalitions, we get the stakeholders of each country, the relevant stakeholders together to deliver these trainings. Because there is not one single stakeholder that can do it alone. It's, we will hear later, we have the public libraries, we have municipalities, they know that they need the involvement of other industry and social partners to rethink also the way we fund the training. This is a very important point I would like to make. I think that the social partners play a very important role in the member states, and they should be also rethinking on how the trainings in the enterprises can be organized and also refunded. As a last piece of information, last week we announced at the Digital Day a new pilot project we're working on. We would like to be able, through the Coalition for Digital Skills and Jobs, to offer, we would like to have companies active in the digital field to offer more internship for graduates. We would like the graduates to come from all the different fields, not just from computing science, and so we have devoted a certain amount of money that we would like to channel to the universities to support the graduates, and at the same time, through the coalition, increase the offer for internships. We think that all students, whether they study history, economics, or law, they all need to have some digital skills, and having digital skills will, of course, improve their capability of finding a job in the future, and we hope then that our pilot is actually successful and can be taken up through other funding like Erasmus or ESF. So I will conclude here. Thank you very much for listening, and I'm open for questions.